There we go, that's what I'm talking about. You can finally hear me. So, welcome to the Comic BKR show. If you've been watching the show and you've been sneaking in the background, you know that today's episode 10, which means we're going to be working on Jigsaw today. And the Jigsaw I'm talking about is Jigsaw from the Netflix TV series The Punisher, which, if you've been poking around, you know that's today's episode. What? Wait, what are you doing? Hold on. Wait, that's the list. Hey, you're not supposed to be... Hey, whoa, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're not supposed to be erasing. You can't be erasing things from the list. What are you... What's happening? What are you doing? You can't be messing with the list. This is a crime. Today's victim, the top. Welcome back to the Comic BKR show, the show where I take characters that have been in live action from the comics and we adapt them into live action respectfully while giving their comic book origins and in-universe reasonable. I'm your host, Dr.Kleb, and any pictures, storyboards, characters, music, articles, various are not owned by me, obviously, and owned by their own respective companies, organizations, writers, musicians, and so on and so forth. Whatever the fuck. All images I draw are meant to be concept art, because I'm a fucking horrible artist. Anyways. So this character, the top, yeah, we're doing a little switcheroo today, because I feel like when I want to work on Jigsaw, that's a tweaker episode, and the top is a character that... Well, we wanted to work on the earlier in the show when we worked on Mirror Master, and so now we're going to go back and we're going to finish the drawing, and we're going to give her a comic book accurate costume, and this is, of course, I'm talking about the top from The Flash CW, and the reason we're doing a little switcheroo today is because people have been asking me why haven't I done a female character yet, and so I thought, I can do a female character, I don't have to just do fucking dudes, but the problem is usually that in live action, in recent years, the women's costumes have been fine. I've had no problems with it. Wonder Woman, maybe every movie, maybe she doesn't get a shorter fucking costume every fucking time, but then you got, Elektra from the Netflix series was fine. Black Widow was good. It's just like all the female characters in recent years, perfectly fine. But we can do the top. The top, she just needs a costume. So, anyways, let me stop babbling. We'll get right into it. So, in the comics, it appears that we have two versions of this character. The top, he's a male character in the comics, known as Roscoe Dillon. And apparently his first appearance was Flash number 122 in August of 1961. So I'm guessing he was a character that kind of was created for his gimmicks, because it just says he's telekinesis and he has superhuman speed, I guess, and enhanced intellect, but only when he's spinning. But the huge thing is that he was obsessed with the old child's toy, which is like a top that he used to be obsessed with when he was a kid, and when he became an adult, got to life for crime, got imprisoned, and met the Mirror Master, who they both became like buddies, trying to take down the Flash together. And in this, it's kind of weird, because in this version I see online, doesn't say like if he's a metahuman. I mean, I assume he's a metahuman, but just in this little thing online I'm looking at, it doesn't say if he is officially a metahuman. I mean, obviously he probably is, but he is just obsessed with tops, like the toy, and I guess he was also an acolyte of Zoom, which is pretty cool. Eventually he does die in the comics, apparently, and in this other version it says that he was struck by lightning at the age of 5, kind of like the Flash, but gives himself the power to turn into a living tornado. So that one, and he was bounced from orphanage to orphanage, and he was seen as a burden because he can control his powers. Took medication for it, and in the 80s, medicine stopped working, and so he just basically turned into a villain. And he was contacted by Thawne, promised to train him in the future and help him fight the Flash, and Top agreed. Not knowing that Thawne is the one that took his medicine, of course he was. But anyways, yeah, it looks like he kind of has the Speed Force a little bit, but it's kind of weird. I don't know why there's like different versions. I don't know if they're the same, but there's like 2 different sites for it in the comic version. And I don't know what's going on, but this website keeps glitching only on the top. I've never had that happen with any other character. So it looks like he kind of wears like a jumpsuit, like from head, kind of like from neck to down to his toe, all the way covers his arms. I'm assuming he probably protects his body, but then he wears kind of like a little mask, I would say like an eye patch mask, only on each eye that aren't connected. So that's kind of weird. And then sometimes there was a version that I seen where he had like a top hat and he had a long, like almost like he'd escaped an asylum type thing. And he kind of just wears all green and has these yellow stripes. That seems to be pretty prominent, is the stripes. And he's just an adversary for the Flash, and he's teams up with Mirror Master a lot, and that seems to be kind of like Weather Wizard. This guy, I guess, was kind of created as a gimmick. You know, he has like all these like gadget tops that he throws that have like gas and lightning, and one that shoots flaming gas, and one that's a grenade, and one that shoots sound waves, and one that shoots beams, and it's just all these different tops. And so I guess not really much to talk about there. We'll just go to the other version. So in the Flash TV show, in the live action version that we're doing, instead of being Roscoe Dillon, it's Rosa Dillon. Rosalind Rosa Dillon. And she gets a nickname Top by Cisco, of course, like every character in the show does. She gets exposed to the particle accelerator explosion, just like Sam Scudder, who was a real person until the director changed and decided, fuck him. But we fixed it in our version. Apparently, she just stole a lot of stuff with Sam Scudder, and they were kind of like thieves together. But when Mirror Master disappeared and he fell into a mirror for the first time, she went to prison for a very long time, which I guess prison changed her. And she kind of wears, like the first version you see, she wears this yellow jacket, and she has this dress that only when she twirls has yellow in it, which I do appreciate I appreciate the creativity behind that. But still, it's just like clothing, you know, it's not like a costume. But when the directors changed and decided, let's fuck the show up, apparently she was working for Eva McCulloch in the new timeline, which that was never true before, because everything Sam did was not because he was trying to help Eva, it was because he had his own reasons. But then after everybody was like, oh, it's Crisis, then all of a sudden it changes everything for no fucking reason, and she was always working for Eva, who didn't exist before this. It doesn't exist. And fuck you for trying to convince me that she does. She's worked for Black Hole in the show. She's part of the new multiverse, obviously, because of the change in the timeline. You know, it's just not a lot. It's just like she has eventually telekinetic abilities, I think, or telepathic. That she eventually... you see her in the future, too. Sam Scudder and her in the future. And she's just wearing, like, all black with a yellow stripe. Which, you know how I feel when there's way too much black. It's like, yeah, it's nice clothes. But you're going to be robbing stores and shit. Don't put on your fucking Sunday best. Alright, you're in battle. Anyways. So, not really much there. She's just kind of in the show until she's not. You know, it's like she's in the show to help Cecile do her shit, tell her how to use her powers, which apparently you find out down the line that Cecile has the same powers as, the top, which the top never wears a costume after this. It's always just normal clothes. And I feel like we can do better. So, let's get right into it. So here's the thing. Full disclosure, for one, you can see that I'm drawing these other versions. What I'm currently doing, is one that I made lastly, kind of. So I did the picture. Where I went back and I drew Top next to Mirror Master in that episode of The Flash where he goes in the future. I drew that picture. And I drew these 2 concept arts of costumes that I wanted to show you guys. But here's the fucking thing. My phone decided to be a little bastard and fucking not record it. And so I'll still show you what it is, because that was kind of the big thing that I wanted to show you. That was like my biggest contribution to the character. Is I just wanted to show you the costume. I made 2 costumes. One that was like an asylum, like where she escaped an asylum look, and another one where it was like what if later on she got like an actual costume, like Flash, or like Flash based, like how the Flash is a head to toe costume and like fucking nobody else does, and so a Flash inspired costume. And it didn't record it, and so you can see this version I'm doing is my attempt to make possibly what I think she would look like if she was in the Snyderverse, which I don't know if you've noticed, but whenever I do these characters, I always like to keep the actor, because if no one's portrayed the character besides this one actor, then I don't really know who else to go it off, So we're going off of this actress who played her, which her name is Ashley Rickards. Probably fucking that up. I can't say anybody's names. Ashley Richards. So that's kind of how I do it. Just because if that's the only person that's ever played the Top ever in history. So kind of my thing there. So in every version, it's all going to be female, because that's the only... And eventually, when I learn how to do... I want to do filming, eventually, which is unrelated. But I want to make my own Mirror Master film that has the Top in it. And I will show you how easy it really is to make these characters live action accurate. But that's way in the future. So this first version that you see me doing is kind of my attempt to be like... probably what she would look like if the Snyderverse. So it was kind of like the feel behind that costume was that it almost felt like every character that appeared in the Snyderverse world was like they had a costume in the past, and you're seeing a costume that's worn out. It's like maybe at one time it looked like the comic accurate suit, but now it's so worn out that it's like it's got black on the edges, which I don't mind when black is on the edges. It looks good when it looks like a costume has like been worn to death. I think it looks really cool like that. But I think this is the one where the one I'm doing right here on the right, which is my idea behind. So instead of at the Flash show in like season 9 or whatever it was, where Cecile becomes a superhero for some reason, what if it was like, I almost said Max Dillon, Jesus Christ. What if it was Rose Dillon? And I'm just kind of taking inspiration from her costume, not really just being like a more heroic looking costume, because I had made a costume for CW, but I'll show you later. But when it comes to this character, it's just like it's just kind of easy, It's because it's just lines. Green and yellow are the base colors, and she just kind of has lines everywhere. Top just kind of has lines. Sometimes he has a mask. Sometimes he has a face eye mask that only goes over his eyes. Sometimes he doesn't wear anything. Sometimes he doesn't have a mask. But I kind of like the idea of concealing your identity, especially when you're a thief and terrorizing the fucking town. Kind of prominent that you cover your damn face so you don't get arrested every 5 seconds. Even if they know who you are, it's a battle. You're fighting against the Flash. I mean, this guy can probably solo the Justice League if he was ever had a shitty day. But yeah, that was my idea too. That the symbol I noticed was just like kind of like a triangle that pointed down to look like a top, and it's usually black. But I just think they kind of look weird against the green. It's kind of like the costume doesn't have black anywhere else, and it's the only place it has black on it, which is fine. But I thought, how the Flash has these like their costumes kind of had these like belts with symbols on them. Like the Flash had that for years before he had his good costumes. And instead of it being a triangle in this version, when she's in like season 9, maybe she's inspired by the Supergirl or something. And so she tries to make her top symbol look more like a Superman symbol. But yeah, but she still has the swirl in it to kind of say that she can, spin and shake, create the tornadoes and stuff. Which just seems like the character's powers are just kind of like random. Like sometimes he has telekinesis. Sometimes he's like got gadgets that allow him to spin, and he practices. Another interesting thing is that apparently the top is the person who taught Golden Glider how to spin, just like he can, and was in a romantic relationship with him. So that's some interesting stuff. They didn't really do any of that. They could have done like the top trying to get with Snart's sister, and then him getting pissed off, and the Mirror Master getting pissed off, and that creates a lot of great tension for possible story. And so, I mean, it's like they could have done a lot of things. But the idea for this costume here is it's just like it's like a heroic version of the top costume, kind of based off of the Virtue character, which should never have existed. I would rather have had Top or anyone else, to be honest, rather than characters that don't exist. I don't know what you're doing. It's like you got lore, you can pick anybody, and this is a character where it's all about the gimmick, So I don't know, maybe have it so maybe those little triangles have little pockets, and so you take out all these little tops and she throws them everywhere, and they cause like havoc, and she can not only use her mind to make people hallucinate and spin, but also make it so she can kind of like shake or like vibrate with sound waves in a certain way, because that was one of the things, the abilities that he had. So yeah, that was kind of my idea behind this costume. That's the one thing that kind of confuses me about a character like this, is that the costume isn't really that crazy. They're making a comic book kind of like story. So why is the Flash running? I've said it 1,000 times, but it just really doesn't make sense to me why you would have a character, have the hero be in spandex, and then have the villain just like wearing normal shit, like walking around. They have like these crazy powers, and it's like you're going down, right? Like this, the Flash has got like impervious, like his costume literally is like flame proof. So your old navy jeans ain't gonna do shit to the Scarlet Speedster. But anyway, so this is the one I created. I had an idea where on the left there, it was like she escaped the asylum, maybe in the first episode. Instead of having her be a mask, maybe she's like spent so much time in prison that she's got these bags under her eyes that kind of simulate the mask, which you can do that. That's like subtle. That's as subtle as I'm getting. And then the other one there on the other one, kind of like Flash inspired, with the, instead of lightning bolts, she has like her hair like that. And here's a weird thing, just because maybe she's like the Harley Quinn of the Flash characters. You know, it's like the top doesn't have to be. The top is always just like a background character, and you can take this what I call Z characters, which are characters that are like they're created just for their gimmicks. You know, or like what if you had a guy that shot ketchup and mustard out of a gun, and Condiment King, fuck it. You know, what if we had a guy that just shot polka dots at people, polka dot man, like characters that are created just for their gimmicks, and this is one of them. Top, his existence is just to be a top. He throws tops. He is a top, you know. And what he's never is on top. He's always like a sidekick, you know. He's always just like there because other people want his help. He's never like a villain, you know, a full villain. Like you never see the top as like a movie villain. It's always like the top is working for someone else because that's just the character that he is. Kind of doesn't have enough story strong enough to be a whole villain, which I had a costume idea for that. What if the top was like somewhere down the line they did a movie where all of a sudden the top was changed, you know, like he was different. He wasn't a joke anymore. Kind of like with the I feel like they kind of did that with the Polka Dot Man, because that character was never. I mean, even you could even say like the Riddler and shit. Like I never thought the Riddler could be scary, but I saw the fucking Batman, Robert Pattinson's Batman, Paul, whatever his name is, the guy who portrayed Riddler, fucking the scariest Riddler I've ever seen. Just a straight up serial killer. I was like, that's amazing. Now that's creativity when it comes to making a costume. It's just like the character's intentions eventually grow into who they are, right? So maybe they start out really fucking wild. You know, maybe he starts out looking like the Zodiac Killer, and then eventually down the line, you get possibly a comic accurate costume, which yeah. So my idea right here that you see me drawing, you could be like, what the fuck are you drawing? So my idea here is that I kind of have a tendency to make characters really, I'll just say it, I can make them really cool, but I'm not too skilled at making characters like, I don't know what to say, like pretty or something. I just like making characters like costumes that I think would look iconic. I try at least. And so this was my attempt to try to make a more feminine costume. To maybe you could do a story where the reason that he's obsessed with spinning is not just a top, but you could also incorporate other things. Like, what else involves spinning? A dancer. So what if she was just like an evil ballerina? Was my idea. You know, just like a thief. Like every character in The Flash. Like I love The Flash and I love the Flash villains. But they kind of just like, sometimes they come up with them and they're just like, oh, this guy can do a thing and then he's also a thief. And then this guy also has a power, but then he's a thief. They're like just always thieves. And then maybe they kill one or two people. They never do it again. So it was my attempt to be like, try to build more story. Maybe make a stronger story. Maybe she was a ballerina and she was like, you know, you could even say she got into an accident or something and caused it so she spins really weird. Almost like she's going to fall over like a top does. And so she stopped being a ballerina and then she could go meet Sam Scudder and meet Golden Glider, which are all these people that eventually become villains. And she gets involved with these bad people and becomes the top. And maybe she has these like those little stream ribbons that ballerinas have, but they have like sharp little blades on the end that look like little top figurines. And when she's spinning, she could like create this kind of like swirly figure that she can attack people with while she's spinning, which that was just me trying to come up with ideas. You can do that. I just feel like, I don't know, maybe just trying to help out the top, honestly. Just trying to make the character more interesting. So it's not just a thief and kind of just borrowing other people's stories. Like, oh, he was struck by lightning and he likes to spin in a circle. And he's also got telekinesis, but he's only ever going to use it to make himself spin. You know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of like gimmick. It's all gimmick. Like, if he was a real person, he'd be like, spinning's cool and all, but I have telekinesis. I could move mountains with my mind if I wanted to. You know, I don't know why she's got to be such a small character. But it's my attempt to try to make her. So this is the one you see me drawing. Is my attempt to make her like, what if she was the main villain? You know, like they feared Mirror Master, and they're like, oh, it's just the top, and the top comes back, and she has this high tech gear. Kind of my idea, like what if like a version where she didn't have powers, but it was like a high tech suit that allows her to spin, or it just has like all those gadgets in it, those little different types of tops, kind of like a nanotech suit, but try to put really high tech on it just to make it look more menacing. The full mask is always way more menacing. I mean, the top, it didn't seem to ever have a full mask. The top always had a half mask, kind of like the Flash does, or an even half of a mask, and it was just an eye mask. But, you know, it's don't be afraid to try new things, as long as it looks cool and it makes sense. So, you can even do it the other way if you want. You could do it so she starts out as this, you know, the high tech, and she's this villain, the top, and then the Flash defeats her, destroys her costume, and so it reveals like the mouth part of her mask, so it's more accurate. And that was kind of my idea behind this one. Is that you can really do anything. It's just you could really go any direction. But my mindset with making this one was like she had been the top before, and then she was defeated, and she came back wearing this high tech suit, or maybe you could do it that she appears for the first time, and maybe this is just a world where she just has really high technology. You know, after all, she is working with Mirror Master, who builds all his own shit. So maybe the Mirror Master built it for her. You know, it just said that the top has higher intellect. I think he does build his own tops, but outside of tops, I don't know if he can build a whole costume. But really, you can just say that he can, if you want. If he's able to build a top that shoots gas and lasers, then he can build a fucking simple costume, I believe. Yeah, kind of. It's just, I think, you know, when it comes to live action comic book shows, they're just no one's ever really. The only people that have gone all the way when it comes to a costume are like people from the 60s who went so far that it was so fucking fabulous that it looked goofy. And people are afraid of making a character goofy when they're trying to have, you know, when they're trying to make a comic book movie world. It's just sometimes they're afraid of the character being goofy, and they just don't know how to transfer it. But I would think this character is easy. It's just a jumpsuit, and it's just green and yellow. It's not like oh man, for example, like a character like maybe Gorilla Grodd, who could be harder to make because he's a gorilla and he's got a purple cape, or maybe even like Malekith from Thor, where in the comics he looks so colorful and exciting that it's hard to transfer that, or even like, you know, they've done it with Captain America. Like, Captain America's got all these colors, and even the Vision, and then you got characters like, Harley Quinn, for example, was a straight up cartoon, and live action looks fantastic. Like, when she's actually wearing the fucking Harley Quinn outfit, you know, it looks fantastic. You would think characters like Drax would never be able to exist. Drax the Destroyer, because he's green and he's got red all over him, but they find a way to make it look cool, make it make sense. And it's just like you kind of have to find out, like, you have to think about it from the character's perspective, which I think a lot of people don't do. They just want to be like, what do I want the character to do? You know, it's like, if you think about it in a sense where this is a person in a different universe, and they're thinking about it from like, okay, I want to take down my adversary. What do I need? What do I have to do? What do I wear? Obviously, I'm not going to go out there and fight this fucking powerful guy wearing nothing, you know, because Flash takes down people wearing normal clothes all the time. People who have powers who are just wearing normal clothes, you never see them again. And it's just like it helps. It doesn't only help the story for a character to wear comic accurate, but also a really cool costume. Is it also creates room for creativity in the future for somebody who sees that and they're like, "Wow, that costume really was so cool. It inspires me to make something else." And that's kind of what you want. Like if everyone looked at Doc Ock the way that he looks in the comics, no one would have ever put him in live action, because it's like he's got the long fucking arms, sure, but he's got the fucking bowl haircut and he's got the green and yellow jumpsuit. He looks like a geek, you know. He just looks silly. And then the arms are long, but then he has tiny little pinchers that barely move. It's like if sometimes you just kind of think outside of just what the creator has drawn, but not so far that it's beyond the character's own self-reasoning. So here it is. This is the drawing I made. I drew it. And my stupid phone didn't record it, but we basically have come full circle, and that is the drawing that we made in episode 3. And so now we're on episode 10, and we have finally come full circle. We have completed the Mirror Master top Flash fighting them in the future drawing. And so this costume I made for her was different than the other ones, because this was like, what if I took both of those costumes that I made originally and I combined them into one? So it was like the Asylum shirt is ripped, but she's kind of wearing like a high-tech suit underneath, because I was like, this is the future, so what if it's just like a combination? And and also I put the number on her chest, what I think is a nice touch to 122, which was her first comic book appearance, the top in the Flash. And it matches Mirror Master, which makes it look like they're a good match. You know, like he has a prison, and in the story you can make it be like that's her prison number, right? That's how you do little Easter eggs. You're just like, oh, this is prisoner 122, and this is prisoner 105, and 105, yeah, 105, and then it's actually reference to their first comic book appearance, but in the in-universe, it's like the numbers aren't as important to them, but it's important to us that we know where they came from. Because you always gotta remember where a character comes from. Anyways, I always say the heart of the character matters the most, because it's a character. It's like a story of a character going through different journeys in their life, and they're gonna go through lots of different things. They're gonna have a lot of different costumes, but it's just that's the fun of it, is that you can kind of make these little costumes in between other costumes. Like, you don't have to be so they wear the same fucking costume every time, because it's like, do you wear the same clothes every day? But you know, some people prefer to wear a certain type of clothing. Some people only wear pants. Like, I don't wear shorts. I just fucking will not wear shorts. They're uncomfortable in my body. So if I were a character in somebody else's comic book, I would never wear shorts. And my reasoning would be, I don't like fucking shorts. They're too goddamn short, and I like my legs being covered. You know, because I like being warm on my pants. So I wear pants. And yeah, it's my reasoning, like, if I were a comic book character. So, I don't know, maybe there are characters who only want to wear stripes, or characters who only want to wear lightning bolts like the Flash, or characters who only want to wear a spider emblem with a spider-esque. You know, it's like you would never see Hulk walking around with a spider symbol on his chest unless he was Spider Hulk, which is a crazy fucking thing. Like, you never see War Machine walking around with his shirt off, because why would he do that? That wouldn't make sense. He's wearing armor. He has to wear armor. You know, it's like, you wouldn't see Drax walk around in a full suit of Iron Man armor, because he doesn't need it. He's stronger than it, you know? And so it just depends on the character's personality, their adventure, and the heart of who they become, right? like for example, like imagine if Ghost Rider wasn't a stuntman, like Johnny Blaze. Imagine if he was just a guy that worked in an office. He probably would be dressed like in a fucking trench coat and a fedora, but he would have a flaming skull. You know, not to say that's not a cool look, but it's just, you know, that's the reason why he wears the fucking the jacket with the spikes on it, is just because that's who he is. He likes that, he looks good in that shit, and he knows it. It's basically the thing. Some characters, I'll give you it. Some characters people don't do right, but the characters who have been wronged, even in the comic book world, will do them right. We're a few episodes to our first Tweaker episode, and believe it or not, we're going to have a special episode on April 1st. Just to let you know, if that ever comes. It's like July, so it'll be in a while. But, anyways. So, this is one that you see me drawing here. Another attempt at trying to fix the god-awful spaghetti universe, multiverse disaster, fucking tomato soup movie, where a can of tomato soup can destroy the entire fucking fabric of reality. So I was like, I did Weather Wizard, and I was like, what if Weather Wizard was at the beginning, you know, instead of microwaving babies, like fucking hot dogs. So, this is my attempt at doing the top in the beginning, instead of dumb shit. And so, that's why you got Batman and Flash in it. It's because it's my attempt to try to fix that same scene. So, this kind of an upgraded version of the suit you saw me make earlier. But I was like, what if, because in the Snyderverse it seemed like they had a lot of technology, but also the suits are worn out at the same time. Kind of like the Batman has been doing it for so long that he had like that one suit that had like cuts on it and stuff, the original suit that he wore in Batman v Superman. And so my idea was that maybe towards her legs it was more worn out and black, but she had these like gauntlets that had lines all over it that she could shoot little tops out of, or with all the different kinds. And then maybe she wears like a protective helmet that covers her face, just because if you're spinning at like hyper speed, how are you breathing? You know, you're probably not breathing too well. So I was like, okay, maybe in this version she has like a helmet that gives her oxygen, and the suit that she's wearing allows her to breathe. And the little thing with the in-between, you know, where it's just like, why make a part of her costume that can be exposed? It's just I don't want to make it so, like, the whole reason with the top character is you look at him and he has a part of him that isn't wearing a costume, which isn't really entirely important, but sometimes I feel showing a little bit of their human parts is important. Sometimes, because you're like, you know, this character isn't like fucking Thanos, where it just appears and he's wearing full armor head to toe, and you're just like, is this a man, a monster, or a fucking robot titan, you know? So I just want to point out this character is human, but, you know, in the writing reason, that's why I made it like that. But in comic book, in the movie, it would be just like maybe the shirt and the mask were what she would wear, and then she normally wouldn't have like the gauntlets, or maybe she wouldn't even wear the mask or the gauntlets, and her costume was just a jumpsuit with the sleeves, because I feel like if you're spinning, it's just probably more comfortable if you just have shorter sleeves, and that's her throwing the little tops. So, you know, anyways, those are pretty much my ideas, and I hope I've helped you or somebody, and thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed episode 10, and we'll see you later.